Hey everybody, it's Sergio, and I welcome you to what I'm going to call is a test video to try to test what I'll call proof of concept in terms of starting my very own YouTube channel. I'm not the first that'll do what I'm about to do, but I definitely want to throw my hat into the ring with this, and that is that my idea for a YouTube channel is going to be me doing one of the things I love to do most, which is eating food. And so I'm going to be doing tasting videos and use this opportunity to kind of see what it feels like to be on the interweb, so to speak, beyond my podcasting and such that I do, and more in a video type format here on YouTube and wherever else it gets published. For me, the joke has always been that I have a face for radio, and so I tend not to have leaned toward doing anything of the sort that I'm about to do. So, hey, it's time to take some chances, right? And if there's anything I've learned, it's content over appearance. I think, I hope, who knows. But what's important is I want to have some fun, and I think it's time to start doing this kind of thing. So with that in mind, today what I'd like to do is do a tasting video that is about going back to my youth, and the items that I'm going to try are going to be items that I didn't get to have as a youngster growing up in my family's home. My parents, my mom was the one who did most of the cooking, and Mom was always very conscious of making sure that we had home-cooked meals, that everything was as healthy as possible, and that everything was delicious. She was feeding 6 of us, my father working very hard to make sure that everything we needed was provided for. And so my mom had this repertoire of dishes that she was just so great at. And it was a wonderful experience growing up, knowing that home-cooked meal was something that I could always have memories of. And so it wasn't part of my growing up to be able to partake in certain types of foods because everything that was provided for us at home was fresh cooked. And so the idea of canned foods or canned dishes just really was not normal, wasn't something that was part of my growing up. I mean, we used canned vegetables and things of that nature. My mom could work magic with anything she wanted to. And when you're feeding 6 kids, you gotta get creative to some extent. Or what you decide is you have a certain repertoire of dishes that you repeat often, and that again end up showing up quite a bit. But hey, when you're feeding 6, they have to eat what you provide. And so I remember growing up fond memories of dishes that my mom would make on special occasions. It was always a fun weekend if we got to have Mom's barbecued chicken, oven baked, delicious. It would, of course, mashed potatoes for sides, vegetables. But that barbecue chicken, I tell you, it sticks in my head, and I can still taste how delicious it was. It's one of my only regrets in life that we didn't capture all of the recipes of my mom's that she would make for us on a regular basis. And of course, there were some that were always going to be written down and preserved. I think of my mom's mole, which was really a family tradition that came from my aunt, her sister. And after my aunt passed, my mom was able to recover the recipe literally by creating it, and we have the mole recipe that has been handed down. My mom would make enchiladas, and enchiladas to me, growing up, were very different from what y'all can probably hear the sirens, but they're not coming after me, I promise. Enchiladas for me growing up were not what I'm used to today. My mom would take corn tortillas, and she would put a little bit of mole sauce on each side of the tortilla, and then a quick fry in oil and soften up the tortilla, and then she would stack them up on a plate, and then grab cheese, roll them up, and put them on the plate. And the thing that was unique about my mom's enchiladas was she would top them with a mixture of French cut green beans, carrots, and potatoes. Everything would be chopped a certain way. The potatoes were cubed by my mother. Carrots were cut, small, and of course, straight from the can, French cut green beans. And she would put that mixture into a pan, a little bit of butter or oil or whatever what she used, and she would just cook it all together until the vegetables were nice and soft and tasty. She would season them. I still do that to this day. I make her enchiladas and I top them with the vegetable topping that she would do. And yeah, it's to this day one of my favorite meals. As a matter of fact, if you see behind me, there is a yellow piece of paper, this one right here. And that's been hanging on that refrigerator for decades, probably more than 20 years. In fact, yeah, that's a pretty fair bet that piece of paper has been there for about that long, because I remember my mom sitting me down and me asking her, tell me about your enchiladas. What is it that I need to do to recreate them? And I'm glad that I did. And so that piece of paper is worth a lot more than a lot of the other stuff that I've acquired in my life. And so these food memories that I have of being able to grow up in a home in which home-cooked meals were constant, one of the memories that I have is that I wasn't able to partake in things like fast food or, I mean, we did, but not often. Yeah, we'd have the occasional pizza night or something like that, but it just wasn't common, and much less partaking in foods that were processed or manufactured. And so today's video is about going back to my childhood to capture and figure out what did I miss. And so we're going to take a look at a few items that is going to be my first food tasting. And I'll tell you some stories along the way as I do so. So yeah, here's the plan. Growing up, I was never exposed to eating any of these Chef Boyardee items that you see here in front of you. Beef ravioli, spaghetti and meatballs, beefaroni. I mean, my mom would make spaghetti and meatballs, so why would it be necessary for me to eat anything like this? Ravioli, I mean, I was a kid. Ravioli to me was this until I grew up and realized that ravioli was quite different. And beefaroni, who the heck knows what beefaroni is, but, well, the can says pasta and tomato and meat sauce, but, I'm thinking that all of these are pasta in tomato and meat sauce, and so in some way, shape, or form. So what I thought I'd do today is we would explore these three dishes as a way to explore missed opportunities from my childhood, and that's what we're going to do. So it's time to start tasting, and I've got all three right here, and of course through the magic of off-camera time, they've all been heated in the microwave. I remember growing up, these products were actually in cans, metal cans. These days you can get them in these microwave-safe containers, pop them in for, it says 45 seconds, and there you go. You have your Chef Boyardee stuff. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for brands and stuff, but I'm new at this, and so I'll take my lessons should they come. So I think I'm going to start with the one that for me is the one that's most associated with this whole Chef Boyardee experience, and that is the beef ravioli. Not sure if you can see, this is the beef ravioli, and at first glance I noticed that, well, first smell, it's a very familiar smell. Literally, and understand, I'm having these for the first time ever, each of these three. I was never able to have this stuff growing up. I never, needed to after I was off to college and doing my own thing, because all I could afford was Top Ramen. And so, again, this is a first on each of these. I love ravioli, don't get me wrong. You have to understand, though, my experience with ravioli has always been restaurant-made, fresh ravioli. I sound pretentious, but here it is. It's ravioli in a sauce, and I mean, it looks like ravioli, and the smell that hits me at first, having never had these particular products, what stands out to me is that the smell I smell is SpaghettiOs. I have had SpaghettiOs, and I don't know how to put this. Not a fan, and so I'm already nervous. But hey, I said I would do it, so here we go. Chef Boyardee ravioli. So here we go. Ooh, that pasta is dense, and it is beef ravioli, it says, and so it's also molten lava hot. There's something about the denseness of the pasta around the ravioli. And again, I know what I'm getting myself into by, opening a packaged, manufactured thing. It doesn't really have a flavor. And I don't think there's meat. I mean, there is, but so yeah. So I now have had Chef Boyardee beef ravioli, and I've now had it. All right. So next on the list is the Chef Boyardee. I'm going to try to get this to the camera because I got to get better at this stuff because everybody online is like, they're so good at this. And so I'm trying to show you that what you're looking at is spaghetti and meatballs. Now, you got to understand, I grew up with my mom making spaghetti and meatballs. Her spaghetti was, the spaghetti part was spaghetti, but her meat sauce wasn't a traditional Italian meat sauce. In fact, it probably had more, I don't know if I want to say a Mexican flavor to it, but she would use the spices she had, and so it wasn't this like deep, rich Italian sauce that had been on the stove for hours. And so, but for me, it was spaghetti and meatballs and spaghetti and meat sauce growing up. And so, I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt, it wasn't this. Again, give you a bit of a glance into the container. Spaghetti is definitely in there. And there are meatballs. Two, as a matter of fact. Two meatballs in this container. So I'll start with the pasta. And as I look at it, I can already tell. I remember growing up, I used to think that this was what spaghetti needed to look like for it to be done right. And I've learned some lessons since then. So here we go. Spaghetti and meatballs. Chef Boyardee. Spaghetti first. If I had Vegas money to bet, I would have bet that the sauces weren't different. And I would have won because they're not. Man, that spaghetti, hold on, kind of melts in your mouth in a way that it shouldn't. It's like this far away from being mush. And so, yeah, but I mean, again, I knew what I was getting myself into here. But hey, I'd never tried it before, so you notice I'm keep taking bites. Let's try a meatball. There's a lot of sauce all over this meatball. And I'm not going to lie, when I look at it, the word I would say that comes to mind is fear. But hey, let's give it a shot. So, meatball. There's a word in cooking for meat, and when it's prepared a certain way, and it doesn't apply here. As a matter of fact, I've never used the word spongy to describe a meat product or a meat item. And spongy. I'm just double checking. That's why I put another bite. Yeah. Same sauce. I mean, I can see why people get these. None of these, neither of these two have been absolutely horrible. But, you know, we're talking about a one-stop shop here in terms of this will never happen again. But, so yeah, spaghetti and meatballs. All right, so that brings us to item number 3, which for me is the most unique one, I guess, and that is the beefaroni. Now, you got to understand, beefaroni, I hope I'll get better at showing you guys these labels. Beefaroni, okay, so ravioli is ravioli. You know ravioli, if you've had ravioli, the word brings the image to mind. I've had ravioli at restaurants, it's delicious. Spaghetti and meatballs, I've made it. I'm particularly proud of mine. So yeah, spaghetti and meatballs. I've never seen anything called beefaroni on any menu. And apparently what it is this tube pasta, right, in a sauce with meat. In fact, it says beefaroni, pasta and tomato and meat sauce. And so here we go, my first ever beefaroni bite. So here we go. Again, very dense pasta. Very dense pasta, a lot of pasta. The meat, I would describe as not there. Whenever I cook Italian, if I make a lasagna or if I make spaghetti and meat sauce, I always worry that my pasta to meat sauce ratio is off, that it's too heavy on the pasta, but I love pasta. I love pasta with any sort of sauce, butter, garlic. Apparently Chef Boyardee doesn't have that worry, because literally this is all pasta in the sauce, and the meat is incidental. I see it, but it's yeah, this is pastaroni. I don't know about beefaroni, but why am I taking another bite? Because I can't stop myself, because I'm a glutton for punishment. Okay, so things we've learned. All three have the same sauce. Now, I'm not naive. I knew this was going to be the case. And the reason I knew this was the case is because I don't look at Chef Boyardee as being, or really any manufacturer. I wasn't thinking that there was this, you know, ravioli department where they had their own banging recipe for ravioli that went in a can. And of course, they don't have a spaghetti and meatballs department where they're working with their own secret sauce and a special recipe. And I know for sure they didn't have a department for beefaroni that you could get promoted into eventually and maybe earn your Michelin star. But yeah, all the same sauce, all the same flavor, all the same dense pasta. And that's the thing. It's the filler. It's, you know, is it a filling meal if you put one of these in front of a person and say, hey, here's your dinner? Sure, absolutely. And please don't misunderstand me. I wanted to explore these because, again, growing up, I never had a chance to have them. As I became older and became an adult, I didn't choose to have them because I was able to cook. And see, now I made it sound like people who eat these can't cook, and that's not the fact. Convenience is important, I'm sure. But in my experience, the fact that I was able to cook and that kind of thing, I'd never bought them. And so as I was preparing for this first video, I thought, hey, what the heck? Let's explore a missed opportunity for my youth. And I will tell you that now that I've tried all three of these products, when I go to the grocery store to get them, I won't. I'll just keep pushing my cart right on by. But hey, again, if you use these products, if you feed them to your family, I'm not in any way looking down at you. They're not my bag. And so, yeah. So now you know how I feel about these products. The goal for this project is to do exactly what we did today. Taste interesting, unique, out of this world, maybe shouldn't be in this world kind of foods. I'm open to suggestion. So in the comments below, let me know what you think about this video, but also throw me some ideas. I'll be posting on not just YouTube, but also to my Facebook account, so you can take a look there. If this is where you're seeing it, then comment and let me know what are some things you'd like me to try. Introduce me to things you think I might not know. And I'm pretty open to everything. Now, having said that, I will say this. And I want to start by saying that to all of my beautiful friends in the Philippines, I love you dearly. I miss you, as a matter of fact, because I still think back to 2007 when I got a chance to spend time there. The only food item that I have ever said no to, meaning I had the opportunity to try it, but I didn't go through with it. And I'll say right up front, it's because I chickened out. Don't tell me to try balut. Balut. Look it up. B-A-L-U-T. If you don't know what it is, look it up. My Philippine friends, I adore you. But guys, please don't tell me to do balut, because I won't. I will simply make a video of me saying no for 30 minutes. So, pretty much anything else, give it a shot. I've got a can of jackfruit somewhere behind me that is going to have something done with it soon on a future episode. But I want you guys to be interactive with me here and tell me, what do you want me to try? What are some things you want me to look for? And in the meantime, I'll come up with some ideas too, and we'll hopefully do more of these episodes if you enjoy them. So give it a like on the YouTube portal here and on Facebook, and let's talk about doing some more in the future. So I always like to say, you're awesome, you're amazing, the world's a better place because you're in it. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you next time on this show that has no name. Maybe we'll call it Sergio Tasting Food He's Never Tasted Before, or maybe he has, on the interweb Google box. We'll keep working on it. So, until next time, love you. Have a great week, and see you later.